Hello everyone, today we are doing Flatline CTF on TryHackMe. So let's have a look at our nmap scan. I used a PN tag for ping sweep because there was a firewall in this machine and I wasn't able to do it without this tag, so I added this on. So we have free switch, which is something that we want to have a look at, and we have an MS server. So what we can do is go to exploitdb and search this up. So let's open up a new tab and let's go exploitdb. So I put in free switch here and we have something right here. We could use a Metasploit, but I'm not smart enough to use that yet. So we'll use this one here, the top one. So let's download this first of all, and we have it downloaded. So let's go to our downloads and let's do ls, and it's in a text file, so we can use mousepad if you're on Kali. And let's open this up and Control A to get it all, and let's put it in a Python file. So let's do nano 47. Let's just copy the name and let's put pi. Let's paste that in, and now let's try it run. Let's do Python 3.4799.pi, and let's just press enter. And it says something about you need to put a target IP address and the command that you would execute. So let's do the IP address of our machine and let's copy this. Now we copied it, let's paste this in and let's put the command that we run, which will be and we're on free switch. So now we'd want to go to the users directory and try to see what's in there. And let's try to look in the C drive, see if there's anything there. So let's do there, call on the users, capital U, users. And we want to just have a look here, and we have a user here, so let's put in them in, and let's have a look at what they have. So if that happens, let's put in the command again, and it should go through hopefully. And we have desktop. Let's have a look on desktop, because in CTFs normally the flags are stored in desktop. As for Linux CTFs, it's normally stored in the home directory. So okay, we see if you do there slash user.txt, we get the users txt. So let's do type this out, and we get the first flag. Let's paste the flag in, and we're halfway there. So now what we want to do is create like a reverse shell. So we could open MSF Venom and create a reverse shell on our machine. So let's do MSF Venom, and pretty much this is what I've done earlier on. Let's just change this from please.txt to something more professional, I guess. So let's do shell.exe. So this is MSF Venom -p, which will be the platform and the payload we're creating. So we'll be creating a Windows payload for x64 system, as x84 will not work as it's different hardware architecture and stuff. We want to be using reverse TCP with a meta interpreter, and we want to set up our L host, which will be our host, which for me is my IP address. You can just go to ipconfig, ifconfig I think, and just have a look here for your IP address. Well, I know my IP address, it's right here, my 0 IP address, so make sure you put your own on. And you want to put the port on. Most Windows firewalls will block most ports, so for us we can be a bit smart and use 443, which I think is used for SSH. So we can use 443 for our reverse shell, as that's unlikely to be blocked by a firewall, as some firewalls will just block random ports connecting to the servers. And since this has no HTTPS server running or port running, we can connect to it. Let's create this. Now we have it in our downloads directory here, shell.exe. So let's do Python server, Python 3-m.http server. This will create a server on port 8000. Now on our end, what we'll need to do is grab that. So we'll need to do PowerShell, and we'll need to do invoke -web request, and we'll now need to do URLi, and we'll need to put in the IP address, which will be of our web server, our Python web server, which will be, for me it'll be my IP address, for you it'll be yours. This is my OpenVPN IP address, and it'll be on 8000. Let's do shell.exe, and we'll want to save it as under computer, well, our victim's server or whatever, or will be where our location, our saving location. So you want to save it as desktop, but we want to save it as shell.exe. In a real machine, you'd want to hide it, at least give it a better name. Since it's a CTF, it doesn't really matter. So we got a response. Let's see if it's a good response, and it is. They took our shell from our server, which is good. Now we can run it and hopefully put on this machine. So now let's just have a look if it's there. So let's just delete all this. We're using Alt and backspace. Let's do dir, and let's remove that, and let's hopefully this will show. Yes, it does. And we have shell.exe, our created reverse shell in the machine. So let's go to, and let's just put shell.exe. Don't run it yet as we haven't set up the listener. To run exe files, you can just run it in the terminal like this, as we're in our PowerShell. Well, to cmd command prompt. So let's close our server, and let's do console. Now we're in Metasploit. What we'll need to do is create the handler on Metasploit, as we'll be able to use Metinterpreter to get a better access to the machine. As with Metinterpreter, we can run Linux commands on a Windows reverse shell, which is really cool. So we want to use multi-handler, and now we want to set our L host, our local host. So for me it'll be 21.51.80, and let's press enter, and let's do L port. For us it'll be 443, as we set the reverse shell on 443. I think it was 443 anyway. Yeah, it was 443. Let's set that, and we've set that up. So now we need to set the payload. So let's set the payload. So we want to do set payload Windows x64. So we have x64 in, so let's do Metinterpreter, and we want to do reverse TCP. Just press tab to autocomplete, and then now that's run. Now let's press run, and it should hopefully give us a reverse connection back. So now it's running on our end. Let's press enter. We have a Metinterpreter session, so let's do get to UID to get the system ID, and we can see we are still that user, but we have a reverse connection back to our own computer. So let's do get system for some privilege escalation, and we look like we have got the system access. Let's do get UID, and we are system. As system in Windows, it's pretty much like a root in Linux, so we pretty much control this machine right now. So if you do PWE, as we can run Linux command on this, let's do CD and CD again to get to the C drive, and let's do ls because it's cool. And now we're in the C drive, so let's do CD users, and let's do ls, and let's get to our user, and we are in. And now we want to get to desktop, so let's do CD desktop. Let's do ls because we can, and let's cat the root.txt, and we have done this room. Copy this in, and we have done it.